Alright, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Codex, the new World Eaters Codex. It has been leaked for I think like a week or two now. And I've seen some videos testing out different attachments and it's really exciting. Even though I remember the first day that it got leaked, I wasn't too happy. It seemed like a complete rework of the whole army, and initially looking at the data sheets, looking at Angron, it was just completely horrible. But now I'm going to be testing out a list tomorrow with the Berserker warband, so I'm going to let you guys know how that goes. This video is sort of just a general overview of the different units and the changes that GW has made to the army. So this is just sort of a broad overview. I'll make more videos regarding the different detachments and different lists that I'm going to be running. So yeah, let's get started. First of all, Blessings of Khorne is a lot different now. We are losing +2 to move, but a lot of it has been sort of inserted into the different data sheets. So, for example, Berserkers now move 8 instead of 6. So everything's sort of been inserted in the data sheets. And then you have things like Eightbound moving 10 inches now, which previously they were moving 9 inches, which is nice. I would say that's sort of a buff. Even though a lot of things like rhinos can't move any faster, they're moving a flat 12. They're not getting that movement bonus anymore. We are also losing advance in charge, which seemed like a big deal, but if you really play World Eaters to a certain level, to a higher level, you wouldn't use it much anyway. But I think the impact of it isn't so much doing the advance in charge, but more the threat of the advance in charge that we're missing now, and the unpredictability of having advance in charge. So right now, yes, most of our units are moving faster without having to use a blessing on the movement bonus, but that's super predictable. Whereas advance in charge is really unpredictable. So you can roll a 1 on your advance, you can also roll a 6, right? So your opponent has to guess now, oh, I have to be, how many inches away so that you have a less of an opportunity to charge. So I think taking away advance in charge is a big deal. It's not that big of a deal as people might think. I think it's more being very predictable now rather than having that advance in charge, making it a wild card. That's the issue. Not so much the first turn charges. I think a lot of people thought, World Eaters without the first turn charges would be absolutely terrible, but that's not really the case. As I said, it's more of that, having to deploy backwards, having to move away from units. But we're getting a lot of really nice stuff too. So I'll get to that. We're also losing Feel No Pain, which is really annoying. That to me is the biggest change. It's the biggest nerf. If you think of it as like a plus and minus, this is the biggest minus to the new Codex versus the Index, is that we're losing FNP, which to me is like we already are pretty squishy. A lot of shooting can just completely murk us, and then we're losing FNP. And we're losing FNP across the board, right? Pretty much. We're losing FNP in Jackals. We're losing FNP in Exalted Eightbound, which is insane to me. So you're making essentially like a very squishy army now, even more squishy, which is, to me, what are we, like Eldar? So that's a little weird to me. I think they should have, if they were to remove it from the blessings, then they should have still kept the FNP on the Exalted Eightbound, on Jackals. I think the only place where they didn't remove it was Chaos Spawn, which is nice, but I don't know. It's a little weird. So yeah, those are the blessings that are being removed, and the additional blessings that we're getting are, we'll start small and then go big. We're getting Devastating Wounds. which is nice, but not very situational and not necessarily what you might want to pick every turn. You know, if you're going against things like Lion with 3-up invul, then Devastating Wounds might be really good. But really situational. If you're going up against Terminators, it might be really good. But very niche. And it's nice that Devastating Wounds is the least accessible one. It pretty much takes the place of Advance and Charge, which is the hardest blessing to get with your rolls. So it's nice that they put that as the most out of reach one. And then we're also getting, we keep Sustain Hits, Lethal Hits, and Fight on Death 4+. We are also the biggest one out of all of it. We're getting reroll charges, which is nice. And the biggest one out of all of them is 6-inch Pile-In and 6-inch Consolidate. So essentially, you can now pile in 6 inches. You can pile in, you can consolidate 6 inches after you fight, which is kind of insane. There's so many things you can do with that, right? You can double charge a unit, or you can use 2 units to charge 1 unit. Use 1 unit to kill that unit, and the other one can now pile in 6 inches to another unit, which is insane, right? 6-inch pile-in means you can actually engage a target unit that is 6.9 inches away, right? Or 6.99 inches away. So almost 7 inches. If it's exactly 7 inches, then you can, I think. But if it's slightly, even 0.01 inches less than 7 inches, then you can pile in to that target and engage it, which is crazy, right? This makes this army completely like a hard counter to shooting armies like Tau, maybe less Salamanders, because Salamanders are pretty close range, so they would have been able to Overwatch and stuff like that, but Tau is going to have a hard time against World Eaters. I think Astra Militarum is going to have a hard time too, potentially. But yeah, let's get more into that later. But that is a lot more powerful than a lot of people think. I think initially when we saw that, it didn't seem that powerful, but there's really so much you can do with that. We're getting some really nice stratagems, like we're getting +1 AP for 1 CP. I think that's only on Berserkers, but I'm not... actually, no, that's army-wide, I think. And that's really nice for Berserkers in particular, because the Chain Blades are minus 1 AP. So with that stratagem, it becomes -2, and then your your Eviscerators are now -3, which is really nice. That's on Berserker Warband, I'm sorry. So we'll just jump into Berserker Warband, which is I think still one of the most powerful detachments, even though a lot of the other detachments are really interesting too. Essentially, we're dropping down Berserkers to Strength 4, which is really painful, but we are getting it back in Berserker Warband because you're getting +2 to Strength now instead of +1, and then you're getting +1 attack, which is essentially the same, but weaker because you're sort of stronger on the charge, but weaker after that. So if you don't kill your target, or if you consolidate to another target, your attacks are not going to be powerful, and you don't have any way to fall back and charge, right? Invocatus used to have that ability, I think, and no longer has that ability. Everything has been reworked. Everything on the table you see here has been reworked. Everything that I don't have, that's World Eaters, has probably been reworked. You have things that so much you can do with the new dynamic of the army. Especially with the 6-inch consolidate. We'll start off we'll start off from the worst, I guess. Angron got really hard nerfed. I have a new mic and I keep hitting it. I'm sorry, guys. Angron got hit with a really hard nerf. I'm expecting him to go down in points by a lot. He already has. I think he's 415 in the Codex, but he went down even more. He's going down even more on release in the app to 385, I think. So he's losing reroll to hit aura, which is like the most powerful aura. whereas in the index you can pretty much just have your units sort of trail along and be within range of that aura and get reroll hits, which is insane. You're losing that. You're losing a lot. The revive now works differently. Revives on 8 wounds rather than full wounds. Also revives, if you revive him using blessings, you can no longer use your blessings. You essentially throw out the entire roll just to revive Angron, which I don't understand why. Obviously, without advancing charge, he's a lot slower. So less of a threat on the table. People can now deploy a little bit forward. I don't know. I forgot what else he's losing, but he's essentially unusable in the current state of things. If he drops down even more in points, he might be usable. I think a reasonable point, like the reasonable number of points to bring him would be like 330. Maybe even then I wouldn't even bring him, I think, at that point. Maybe 305, then I would for sure bring him. Because he still hits like a truck. I think they made his attacks a little weaker as well. I don't remember. We'll move on from Angron, but essentially he's not good at the moment. If he becomes better, you'll see him in my lists, which I'll make videos in the future. I'll make a video for each detachment, and I'll have a few lists that I think would be good for each detachment in the future, in a very near future video. We'll move on to Lord of Skulls, which is one of the biggest ones that I loved. One of the biggest problems with Lord of Skulls previously was that he couldn't move through walls because he's not a super heavy walker. But now he actually gains the ability to smash through walls. And then you only have to take like, you roll a die, and if it's a 1, you're battle shocked. I think that's what it is. But being able to move through walls is absolutely insane. And I think he's a little faster now. He used to be movement 8. He's now movement 12. Movement 12 and being able to move through walls is absolutely insane. That means that he can sort of camp somewhere in the terrain, shoot stuff, and then eventually next turn, if your opponent takes middle, he can essentially charge your opponent's units in the middle, which is absolutely insane. So he's now extremely usable. World Eater's shooting across the board has been reduced to a 4+ hit. So you need a 4+ to hit on everything, but pretty much every weapon now has rapid fire. Either rapid fire 1, 2, 3, or I think there's one rapid fire 6. It's like an autocannon or something. But essentially your shooting is a little better. A lot better on the Forgefiend. But on the Skulls, Lord of Skulls, it's just a little better. I think it should add up to be around the same. And then he hits a little harder, I think. He has one more attack, I believe. He is a lot more expensive. He used to be 455 in points. He's now 505, which still makes him too expensive, I think. We'll move on to the general sort of weakness of this army, I think, now is that everything has become too expensive. We'll move to the Berserkers now. You can only now bring Berserkers in groups of 10 or 20, which I think is a really bad move, right? There's still the same amount of points per model. So 10-man unit is 180 points. They've been nerfed significantly with their weapons now being, chain blades being strength 4, whereas they used to be strength 5, I think, which is insane to me that they would do that to a Khorne Berserker. And then there's still the same amount of points, so they're 180 points is the smallest number of points that you can bring Berserkers. And then you can bring a pack of 20 now for 360 points. Pack of 20 is great. I like that. That's cool. It's a nice option to have, even though a 10-man is already pretty strong. But losing the option to bring a 5-man is absolutely painful, I think. I used to bring at least one 5-man squad of Berserkers to trade, right? If you have an opponent who is moving his sort of cheaper units forward, you can bring up your Berserkers to take them out, and claim the objective, right? And the next turn they kill your Berserkers with something stronger, and then you can move forward with your Eightbound, with your Angron, with whatever to take it back, right? Now we don't have that option, right? The only cheap units we have now are Chaos Spawn at 80 points. We'll move on to Chaos Spawn in a little bit, but essentially we only have Jackals, which are great, but they're not very killy. You need to give them sustained hits and probably lethal hits to be able to kill something. And they lose their sustained hits on their weapons now, so they're a lot less killy now. So, and then you move on to Goremongers, which is a good unit to have as an infiltrator, but not a killy unit at all. So you don't have anything to trade with now. You have Chaos Spawn and that's it, right? You have character units, but they're not nice to trade with. That squad of 5 Berserkers was absolutely essential, I think, and they removed that option, which is weird to me. Berserkers now are a little faster on the Blood Surge, which is nice. Blood Surge used to be kind of unreliable. It used to be D6 flat, and now it's D6 plus 2. So it's great. They move a lot faster in Blood Surge now than they used to. So I remember Blood Surge, if you rolled a 1, it would be like the saddest thing, right? You get shot and then you move 1 inch, which is really sad. Now you can at least move 3 inches. Great, that's all great. Jackals, as I said, they keep their sticky objectives. They are still 65 points, which is really nice. One of the few cheap units that we have left. But they lose FNP, which is painful. They're absolutely just die like that now. So be extremely careful with your Jackals. Don't leave them exposed because they will just disappear. Goremongers are the same because they just came out. 85 points. Infiltrators. If you bring Eightbound at all, bring Goremongers, right? We'll move on to some characters now. Lord Invocatus got a huge rework. First of all, I'll start with the bad. He's no longer a 2-up save. He is now a 3-up save, which is so weird to me, right? He's not that tough to begin with, and then to move him from 3+ to 2+ is absolutely insane, right? You have so many characters from other factions that are 2+ save. Just about every epic hero in any army is 2+ save. And then Lord Invocatus gets 3+ save, which is weird. He still has 4-up invul, which is great. 8 wounds, fine. He did drop in points. He's now 110 points instead of 140. Great, pretty cool. What's not cool is just the saves, right? He now has a really interesting ability. He used to be able to give 2 infantry units Scout 6 at the beginning of the battle. Now, he still has Scout 6, but he has an ability to give his unit, the unit that he's leading, Deep Strike. And he can now lead, he could have always led Berserkers, but now he can give Deep Strike to Berserkers. And he can also give Deep Strike to 20 Berserkers, which is absolutely insane. With the 6-inch pile-in, 6-inch consolidate, you can just deal absolute chaos to your opponent's back lines. If you Deep Strike them somewhere, they can also now advance and charge in the Berserker Warband. So you can advance and charge 20 Berserkers along with your Invocatus somewhere and just wreck their whole back line. I imagine against Tau that would be insane. So yeah, that's Invocatus, really cool. He also has some weird ability that I think the Lord on Juggernaut used to have, which is if you charge an enemy unit, you deal something like, on average, like 2 mortal wounds. Nothing too significant there. Weapons are about the same. Then we'll move on to Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn has probably one of the biggest improvements in the Codex as opposed to the Index. They did get a points increase from 70 it was 70 in the Index. Now it's 80 in the Codex, but it's completely worth it. They now have Scout 8, which means they can immediately scout into an objective before the game even begins, which is nice, but not something you might want to do. They also get built-in advance and charge, which is so weird. They're the only unit that got so much faster than any other unit in the Codex. They're the only unit that got so much faster because they have Scout 8 and they can advance and charge, and they're movement 10 now, and they can go through walls because they're beasts, and it's absolutely insane. So I recommend always bringing 2 Chaos Spawn because they're so good. They still have Feel No Pain 5 up, and they're still Toughness 5 and Wound 4. Yeah, 4 per model. So they're still about the same. They still hit about the same amount of times, and everything's about the same. The only thing is they're now capable of first turn charging, right? So if you're worried about not having that threat in the beginning, your Chaos Spawn might be a small sort of solution to that problem. Like now your opponent has to deploy backwards too, and worry about you coming up real fast. You can in fact bring 3 Chaos Spawn and just go crazy. You can bring 3 Chaos Spawn. Here's just one example, right? You can bring 3 Chaos Spawn. Maybe you use 1 sort of in the back line to... sometimes you use Chaos Spawn because they're so cheap to screen in the back. And you use two of your Chaos Spawn to Scout 8. You have your Goremongers sort of blocking the middle to left side maybe. And then you deploy your Chaos Spawn far in the front. You take first turn, hopefully. Scout 8, advance, and you roll maybe an average of 3 or 4. So that's a 14-inch move. So you've now effectively have a threat of 22 inches maybe. And then now you can charge. So absolutely insane amount of threat range on your Chaos Spawn. Really good unit to have because you can just start eliminating a lot of your sort of opponent's screens in the beginning before he even gets to use it. And then when your 8-bound or your Berserkers follow up behind, your opponent's screens have been cleared out and you can now take out your opponent's big targets. Really cool. Love Chaos Spawn. I immediately had to get another unit of Chaos Spawn. Now I have 2 units. I might consider getting another one, so really excited for that one. Then you have Kharn the Betrayer, which also got a glow up, kind of. He used to be able to fight on death, 2+, I think, which is nice. But now he just gets a flat-out revive. So if he dies somewhere, he gets to revive out of engagement as close as possible to where he was. It's great. I don't know if it's super great, though. He still hits super hard. He still gives his unit reroll hits of 1, real wounds of 1. Really cool stuff. And I think he's still a really good leader for a pack of 10 Berserkers inside a Rhino. So I think that's the best way to run him. Even though it's tempting to run him solo. It used to be if you were running him solo, I think it would have been better if you just took a Lord on Juggernaut, because he can take an enhancement. Now you can just bring him, because he's a lot more killy, and he can revive. So it sort of poses a problem for your opponent. If they have to charge your Kharn, he comes back up on a 2+. So that's something, right? And then you have, let's see here. Oh, Forgefiend. Forgefiend had a huge improvement. He is now actually a really viable shooter. So for the people who advised me to get the other faction's vehicle, what do you call it? If you got anything else that was a shooty vehicle other than a Forgefiend, you're probably regretting it now. A Brigand, that's what it was, a Brigand. So if you got a Brigand, you're probably regretting it now, because now Forgefiends are great. They have this new ability to reroll hits to the nearest eligible target as long as it's within 18 inches. So that's pretty easy to do. And they also get Rapid Fire 1. They also get Blast on their Ectoplasma cannon. And you bring 3 of them. So you effectively have more number of shots that you can reroll as well. It hits on a 4+, sure, but reroll hits is going to fix that. So it's essentially able to kill so much in one turn that it's now a really good option to have in your army. It's 145 points, which means that it hasn't gone up in points either, so it's just completely an improvement. So if you haven't already, you should probably get one. Maulerfiend, I think, is largely the same. I don't remember what the changes were for Maulerfiend. I didn't think that it was that significant. But yeah. And then you have, of course, Demon Prince. Demon Prince is great. Completely reworked again. He used to be already pretty strong. He's an option to bring in place of Angron, let's say, because he was a more defensive. He has a defensive auras. He essentially was able to give 8-bound 4-up invul. Also was able to give Jackals and Berserkers 5-up invul, which is really nice because they don't have any invul save. So he used to be nice, but I think it was only a 6-inch aura, and you always fail to get it because your opponent just knows better than to deploy far up in the front for you to be able to use that aura. So now he's completely reworked. He does not have that aura anymore, but he does get Lone Op if you're within 3 inches of your friendly infantry. That's great, because one of the biggest problems with Demon Prince was that he probably couldn't survive long enough to be able to keep that aura on your 8-bound and your Berserkers. Because he's a big unit, so it's not that difficult to shoot him down. And if you're not putting him in sort of within range of shots, then you're probably not putting him in range of your aura for your charging 8-bounds. So it's a little tricky, but the thing with him was that it would have worked if it was an 8 to 10 inch aura, I think. But it was only a 6-inch aura. Now he has a Lone Op, which means that he can't really, it's difficult to shoot him. More difficult to shoot him as long as he's within range of infantry units. That could be your Jackals, your 8-bound, everything. And then he gets this other ability to basically get a discount for your CPs, for your stratagems. Once per battle round, you can reduce any of your friendly units that are using a stratagem within 12 inches by 1 CP. So every detachment in the World Eater's Codex is pretty CP hungry, or at least you will want to use a CP on every turn, I think. So him being able to reduce everything by 1 once per battle round is really great. I think that's a really fun thing that we never used to have. It's a utility thing, so now Demon Prince is sort of a utility unit. Obviously, you can still use Helm of Brazen Ire on Berserker Warband, and you can still pack him with enhancements. So he's still just as killy as before. He still has devastating wounds on the charge. It's a really, really powerful unit. I think he got more powerful, even though it's a complete rework and it's a completely different unit now. He's still really powerful. The Demon Prince with wings is kind of insignificant. It's not as good as the Demon Prince with wings on other armies, so I don't even really want to talk about him. He gets mortal wounds if he flies over units, but who cares? It's like 3 wounds or something. You have your Lord and Juggernaut, which is kind of interesting. He's not an epic hero, so he can use an enhancement. He can also basically allow you to have 3-inch. You can now fight your units to your opponent's units if it's within 3 inches. I hear a lot of people say 3-inch engagement. I think it's incorrect. It doesn't actually say 3-inch engagement. It just says that after you've piled in, if your enemy unit is within 3 inches of a model, that model can fight the enemy unit, right? As long as your unit is engaged to that unit. So it's not 3-inch engagement. I think that's different. Because if you are 3-inch engagement, that means that your whole unit can be engaged to an enemy unit within 3 inches, right? Which is completely different. That's a lot more powerful, but it's not. It actually just means that more of your units, more of your models in your units are able to fight, right? They don't have to get to base to your one of your models that's base to one of your opponent's models or whatever, right? You can just sort of fight from the back. It's powerful. It's not super powerful. Because I had thought, I think when the leaks came out, people were saying 3-inch engagement. That was a lot more powerful because it meant you can pile into a unit. If you have the 6-inch consolidate and pile in blessing, it means that you can actually consolidate 9 inches, or you can engage a unit that's 9 inches away in certain scenarios, and that's absolutely broken. But that's not the case, thankfully. That's not the case, so you just have your entire unit be able to fight essentially without any issues. So yeah, that's fun, but not super excited about Lord and Juggernaut. What else? We have Terminators, which is, I think they got a new ability. It wasn't significant. It was like if you hit nearest target, it's like reroll to hit or whatever. And then they're now moving 7 inches, so flat 7 inches, which is nice. I don't know if they're still usable. They're still 180 points, too expensive, like every other unit. So yeah, I don't know about Terminators. I have 20 of them. Might try them at some point. I just haven't focused on them, so I don't know. We'll move on to the biggest one, I think, in this whole codex, which is the 8-bounds. You have the 8-bounds, you have the Exalted 8-bound, and you have the regular 8-bound. So they're now super specialized. The regular 8-bound are very used for killing elite infantry and other kinds of infantry. They're really good. They have an aura that gives anything 6 inches around them, including themselves, -1 to hit against infantry. And I think if they're below half, you get +1 to wound as well. So +1 to hit and +1 to wound. Really great. It used to be that Exalted 8-bound could kill anything. Vehicles, infantry, doesn't matter. Now you have 8-bound for infantry, and then you have Exalted 8-bound for vehicles and monsters. Exalted 8-bound, on the other hand, no longer have Feel No Pain, which is really sad. They're also they're basically no tougher than regular 8-bound, but they do get interesting weapons that are anti-vehicle 3+ and anti-monster 3+. So they still hit on 3s, but they're now critical wound on 3+ against vehicles and monsters, which is great. You know, you can use it against Lion, you can use it against any monsters, any vehicles. You can use Devastating Wounds Blessing to give them a ton of Devastating Wounds on, I don't know, like enemy vehicles, right? So really great stuff. I think 8-bound overall are still really powerful and are still the staple of the army. Not like Angron. Angron was just complete disaster, but I understand. I'll talk about Angron at the end, but I'll finish up on the 8-bound now. I think Exalted 8-bound losing FNP was a mistake. They should have still kept FNP. And then, because we lost FNP on the Blessing, right? So they have a flat FNP 6, which is not that powerful anyway, so why remove it? But them being specialized is interesting. I think it's cool. I think it makes us think about positioning more to target units with our 8-bound more sort of purposefully. So yeah, I think 8-bound are in a decent place. They move 10 now, so a little sort of faster without the Blessing, but slower with the Blessing in the index. So I don't know. I think they're just about the same amount of movement anyway. So yeah, we also have a new character unit to lead the 8-bound, and that is the Slaughterbound. Slaughterbound is interesting. He's really powerful. He can pop a once per game ability to get +3 attacks and devastating wounds on just the Slaughterbound, which is cool. And basically, it can also revive one unit or one model in his unit, the unit that he's leading. So if you're leading, I can't speak today. If you're leading a pack of 6 8-bound, let's say, and your opponent takes out 4 of them, and you have 2 left, essentially on every battle round you revive 1 8-bound. I think it sounds really powerful. It sounds really good. I don't know if it's going to be that good, right? Because 8-bound are now so squishy. They are toughness 6, which is great. They're invuln 5 and save 3. Not great, but decent. But you're not going to be able to live through a lot of shooting. You're not going to be able to live through a lot of fighting. So they're kind of like, you target two or three, or like one or two big things. Hopefully you kill them. And if you don't, you're pretty much going to get taken off the map, right? But one thing that's good about the Slaughterbound being able to revive is that I think a lot of people might commit a lot more shooting, a lot more units to killing a pack of Eightbound with a Slaughterbound than they actually need. So it sort of sometimes will force your opponent to overcommit, and then they forget about the other units around them that are going to kill them next turn, right? So that might be something that is really good about that. But for now, I don't know if I see it as being that powerful. What's nice about it is if your opponent misses even one Eightbound, then next turn he gets two Eightbound that are coming for him, right? If he does wipe out all the Eightbound but not the Slaughterbound, then your Slaughterbound is no longer leading, and he therefore can't revive any models anymore. So yeah, Slaughterbound, I think really good unit. Really good to have solo as well, actually. He's really killy. He's got strength 8 weapons, I think. On the Berserker Warband, he has strength 10 then. And then he gets that once per game ability that pretty much will murk a lot of units down. So really, really good. Excited to have him. I did get 2 battle forces, so I'm planning to make 2 of them, 2 of the Slaughterbounds. So yeah, that's really exciting. We have a couple other things like Master of Executions is no longer fights first, which is painful. That was sort of the center. That was like the only reason you would bring Master of Executions was that you can have fight first. But he no longer has that, but he got a lot cheaper. Currently in the index, he is 110 points. He's now 60 points in the new Codex, which is nice because now you get a leader that's pretty cheap, and then you can give Berserker Glaive to. I think still usable, still a decent unit to have, but I would not bring him over Kharn, I don't think. Even though Kharn is a little more expensive. I think Kharn is like 85 points. But yeah, Kharn just seems like the better option. Master of Executions with a Berserker Glaive is nice to precision. But it's not that much more killy than a Kharn, and Kharn provides that really amazing buff to his unit of Berserkers, which is reroll hits of 1 and reroll wounds of 1. So I would take Kharn over Master of Executions now, even though the points are higher on Kharn. I think I've covered most things in this codex, not everything obviously, and I haven't covered any of the detachments. I'll go back to covering each detachment in a single video, or I'll go 1 detachment per video probably, because I tend to go over the time a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so excited. Tomorrow I'm going to be facing some salamanders with my new codex list. I'm obviously still having to proxy the Slaughterbound, but other than that, I should have everything. I'm getting a Hellbrute tomorrow as well. I'll let you guys know how that goes and my better insights on the new Berserker Warband detachment, which is one that I think is going to be a powerful one. I'm also going to be talking about how I think the blessings are. So yeah, I think overall really great and really exciting stuff. I haven't been this excited about a change in World Eaters in a long time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please help me out by liking the video, leaving comments down below about what you think about the new codex. And yeah, subscribe to my channel. Helps me a lot. So I'll see you guys on the next one.